Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. It's Batu and JD, and we're on the adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
Kokoro-san.
What? Kokoro?
Oh, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know either.
I've considered the Defense's Council request for further summation examination of the jury.
And
okay.
I think it's worth nothing.
I think it's poopy doo-doo, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure.
The eloquence of that English language. So
I
beautiful.
don't like it. I mean, it does look cool to read, but not so much fun to say. Ugh. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman?
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime.
Oh yeah, that's where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they couldn't make up their minds like, why is he guilty?
Yeah.
The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books apiece.
There was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed. I might reconsider.
Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime, if the window was closed, can it?
Oh, that's right, because we saw the charred book, the lion's whatever,
Right.
and the broken off knife. Dearie me,
Yeah.
it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening, even with the okay, no. Direct hit, that would cause some damage to the head.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble.
Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes.
Cool, that doesn't help us at all.
Good for you, man.
Go home, Grandpa. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around.
Oh,
I
yes.
must be drinking.
All members of the jury, especially the last one.
Grandpa, go home! With no one notable exception, of course.
I swear, if it's not the old man, it'd be the only noble exception. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So, the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, I need more wine, but screw this while I have. No one else was at the scene to commit the crime.
Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
But how? What would even constitute as tangible explanation here?
That's for you to find out. Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us the name and method by which the attack was... No, I'm trying to help you by speeding this up.
There, I was thinking this might be hard.
But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then.
Yeah, none.
Jeez.
That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you're ready. Are prepared, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Alright, Ryunosuke, focus your mind now. Clearly, the key to the summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say, Miss Garrett.
We have a book that disappeared from the Garredep's house on the evening of the incident. And the 4th book found the victim's hand.
There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garredep and how she reacts, even to the things other people say. Alright, so... Oh my gosh. You'll never guess who we have to press first.
I don't know. Who? Is it the old man?
Yeah, it's the one who's providing not much insight. It's him.
But why? He didn't say anything.
Whoopsie, didn't mean to go all the way. Whoopsie. I pressed A too many times, and then I died by falling onto a flaming book. Yes, that's a very strange way to die, I know. Anyway, so, I mean, admittedly, his testimony does kind of have importance to what has actually happened in the Gyarados house, but on its own, it just doesn't mean it.
Yeah, it's just, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly! Like, it has nothing to do with anything!
Yeah.
He's guilty because I had a fire in my house one day and I was sneezing like mad. Like, no! That's not the works.
What does this have to do with the actual crime, though? Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's
culpability?
I don't know. Oh, culpability?
Sorry? What's that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
First the old lady, then the old man.
Gee whiz. Could you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. I don't know why I paused there. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? What, was it some kind of devil worship? Oh.
Of course not! It was an angel cake! To celebrate my birthday, obviously!
Oh yeah, I forgot, they don't have candles.
It seems they don't have candles. No, they don't put candles in their cake.
They don't have candles. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Ah, those Japanese back in, like, the turn of the 19th century, they didn't have candles back then.
Obviously, they used the power of their energy to crush a star in their hands.
Yeah, it seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles went flying all over the room.
Ow!
The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place full of smoke.
I don't want to eat that cake and try to spit on it. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire?
What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. But I wasn't on fire, so I don't know why they threw water on me. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
Ah, the windows.
The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in a hospital for a while. I don't forget that birthday in a hurry.
Yeah, I knew it was devil worship all along. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason.
So, before Ryunosuke moves on, what do you think, Patu?
So, yeah, I mean, he gave us clear evidence that, like, if there was a fire in your house, you have to open the windows to air it out. So, what happened with Mr. and Mrs. Gyarados could have happened as well.
Maybe. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yes, but once again, the juror statements are full of personal prejudice.
I sure hope that they don't bring back the juror system in the next 6 games, because otherwise things would get really messy.
Yeah, tell me about it. A lot of them seem convinced that they're right, even if they face illogical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
That's the spirit. Also, I realized I said next 6 games because I lumped the 2 Great Ace Train games together as one game. But technically it'd be after the next one where they don't have the system anymore because, well, of all the logical fallacies that can happen. It's just, yeah,
okay.
Law is a lot more easy when you don't have to worry about people giving weird statements. Okay, so, we do need to pit the old man's statement against someone. Who do you think it's going to be?
Let's see. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this cry at the window was closed. Wait, hold on a minute. Maybe him.
Do you think?
Because it's like, even if the one was throwing books, it can't be related to the cry at the window was closed. So, no, then that wouldn't make any sense because it's the fire with that guy, right?
Yep.
Objection!
Yeah. Hold on. These two juror statements clearly contradict one another. They do? How exactly, counsel? Don't point at me again. I told you, it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up!
Juror number 3, DC. Oh, me? See what, sir? Did you hear what juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his window in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the...
It's like he's starting to realize, oh no.
Oh. Oh. Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garrett household, and Mr. Garrett had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke. Oh, hello. Oh, my hat.
Excuse me.
Gee whiz. Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Sheesh.
I love his animation because if you just let it keep going, it's like she's just gonna get like just drowned in tea.
Yeah. Mrs. Garrett.
Oh, dearie me! What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? That's not the issue here.
Don't care. It's imperative that you confirm something for the court.
Didn't ask.
So... Didn't ask, don't care. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
Why did you slap your husband that hard? He didn't deserve that. But when the fire started in the house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
Their room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and the bookcase caught fire as they did. And in a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
And what if we did?
Huh?
That's an interesting point. Oh, alright then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window. Which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire. Jeez Louise.
People are crazy in these games.
You're something
Actually crazy. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It'd be terribly bad for the nerves to do other... Yeah, it'd be a real shame if you stopped throwing books while your house was on frickin' fire.
Yeah, you know, almost burned down your whole abode. Of course, I should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garrett's formal statement. I'm not even here! Why are you telling me? So... Alright. We now have to press Mr. Busybody Working Man. I say busybody, but an actual body who is busy, not a busybody who does nothing. Which busybody is a very weird term because, like, oh, they're busybody, meaning they don't do anything. They just, like, why are you calling it? Anyway.
That don't really make any sense to me either. Huh. You just want to get this over with. How could you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me looking face down in the top. What is it? Is it Tom's?
Thames, I think?
Thames tomorrow morning.
You know,
I don't...
If only we had the internet at our fingertips, I could look up how to pronounce that word, but, you know, my phone's only right there, and I can't be bothered to look it up.
Yeah, my phone's dead, so I can't do it either. You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She got me first, believe you me.
Another shining example of marital bliss, then. A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well,
Yes.
do you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember.
Nope.
Are you sure about that? Sorry. It was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, that's what I kind of do with some situations too. I just kind of, okay, and that's
Fair.
done. Helpful.
I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf.
Don't even go there, Mrs. Sato.
The Thames? Or that line of thinking?
Yeah, that line, both, probably. There must be some way to jog his memory about this.
Alright. So now, we'll need to press Mrs. Garredeb's new statement that she brought up a while ago.
Okay. The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garredeb told us he had been reading.
Well, I really couldn't say... Yeah, I'm sure.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw it at your husband? The copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading.
I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Guess he won't now.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because
Whoa.
I couldn't, you innocent little man. I didn't remember. You... Oh,
You
more
remembered-
importantly, you either thought it wasn't important enough to remember, or you didn't want to remember.
Probably
Time-
because of the... it's just Japanese.
At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on. As well, you know.
I really don't. Because I wouldn't throw things at people I'm mad at.
Oh boy,
I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
excuse me.
Hold on.
I wonder if his
Why are you
wife's
flexing
throwing
like
things
that?
at him.
What is it, juror number 5? You know something? I don't remember what it was. The memory I've blocked out. Ah. I was listening to what this granny was saying, but all flooding back.
She's not that much older than him. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garredeb or the maid. I'll have you... Either one, really. Actually, I'm curious. Do we have ages for any of our jurors? Aw, no, we don't.
no.
But she is 38, so she can't be that much older than him.
Nah. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. Oh. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home from work like. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny I dropped out. Oh, that's horrible. I know what that's like, because my phone slid out of my pocket once. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I lost a day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Into the wall next to me, it did. About an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench at the top. The Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks at night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When a woman loses their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Or Mr. Dagab can attest to that. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. Why, I wouldn't throw things at you, I'd just throw you around.
No, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking something else.
Throwing household objects at people is... well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright. We'll obviously come to that bow and arrow thing later. If I dare.
She has a smile of an angel and the ferocity of a devil.
I certainly don't want to come back over to that. Ugh.
Alright, so
Whoop.
we need to pit this guy's statement against someone else. And it ain't gonna be Mrs. Garrett or the old man. So, let's look back. And, well, nor
Could it be
him.
Well, could it be could it be the other lady then? She does need like a...
That's true.
Yeah, she would need it. Okay.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly have a deep, significant connection. Good grief! You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once! Juror number 2. Do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? Oh, wait a minute. We've demonstrated the fourth book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime. Originated at Mr. Garrett's room at the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book, yep, that's what I was thinking too, could have found its way from Mr. Garrett's house to the street below. Hey, what's that now? After all, Mrs. Garrett could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband.
And more than likely did.
Yep. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? Oh, she's calling you out directly, Patu.
Dang, man. I know I'm not fit, but geez. I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of the book came to light, perhaps she had a feeling that might be what happened.
Now you listen here, you Easter Gala. As the foreman of the jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house. But what? What was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't had any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman. I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from Mr. Garrett's house at the scene of the crime was...
Now, what was
The
it,
knife.
Patu? With yes! Yes!
Yes.
Take that.
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrett.
What now?
I must apologize in advance for this, but I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Lord Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man! My lord, remember, when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrett was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which books fell to land at the crime scene.
You can't seriously believe that book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that it flew out the window and crossed the street to land neatly in her hand? Well, no, she could have picked it up, though.
Huh? Even my missus hasn't got aim like that.
Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now.
Oh my!
I just woke up from my nap.
It's okay, Grandpa. Go back to sleep. Hey, Mrs. Garrett, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not?
Oh, gonna have to say no.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, snap.
I guess you might have seen it.
My lord!
My lord! Oh, whoa.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
There's
that's
no
you.
name. I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for the trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions.
Mr. Foreman!
I'd have to agree. Not that I think that Granny didn't mind.
Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents.
Alright.
I don't think I got the memo, so I won't change mine.
Okay, it's okay. We'll let you know how the trial goes at the end of it. We did it.
Oh, Man, whew. Excuse me. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Narhut. Oh, thank you.
So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent.
I hate it here.
You can go home.
No, I can't, legally.
Oh yes, I forgot. We'll slap you in irons.
The prosecution may now leave. May what?
Accordingly, the court is divided. And our trial will continue.
Well, how do you like them apples?
They're bitter. And old and gross and have worms in them and...
Have you ever bit into an apple and had a worm in it?
I have not.
Thank goodness you have not. It is not a good feeling. Now then.
Oh, now then, Lord Von Sykes, how does the prosecution wish to proceed?
With winning, I'd say.
Oh, doesn't look like that right now.
Shut up. This trial is rapidly descending into a farce.
What the?
Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter.
If I may, Lord Van
You may
Sykes.
not.
Oh, sorry. The defense just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened.
Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? Or should I say, Mr. Wah Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. But let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed.
What do you mean by that? What is this angle this time?
It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrett household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrett's house to the scene is some... yes, 15 yards. Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little further than I imagined.
And, as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. That is kind of the one thing that we're not entirely sure about. Like, yeah, she could have picked it up, but... In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards, to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb.
She could have picked it up, though.
Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near-identical trajectory to plunge in the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think.
I mean, true.
Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Meanwhile, her locked somewhere away. Hey!
Achoo! Ah! There's nothing I can say to that.
That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. I sure do.
Mrs. Sato!
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he?
Uh-oh.
Susato,
Touched
that's
a nerve
not
there.
the...
Maybe let's pick our battles here.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead.
The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Gerdeb, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
Saints alive! A cross-examination of a juror? What the bleeding egg? Order! 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 Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for the member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand. I guess get this out of here then.
And unnecessary.
I mean, Lord Van Zykes?
There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's partial theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. And we must assume that they'll be able to testify accordingly.
What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir. Constable Rowley Bate reporting for duty, sir.
So really quick, do you know the joke behind their name?
Not really.
So, Patricia's name, Pat, Rolly, Roll, Patrol.
Patrol? Oh!
Yeah.
Pat and roll. Oh.
Well,
Patrol the beat, right? Oh.
yeah. Good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir.
A month? Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies.
Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon. Oh, great, it takes two all over again.
There we go. Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request.
Oh.
Dang. In order to the witnesses to stand to testify again. State forthwith for the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir!
I think Rolly's finally awake. Excuse me.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Gaddip. Believe me, a London Bobby is as good as his word. You see, sir, the windows of the top floor of the Gaddip house are top lunge casements.
Hinged.
Top hinged casements. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on the front, sir.
Is that so?
I find that hard to believe. This is quite startling. Top hinge casement windows.
That detail was not in the police report, Constable.
Yes. Sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy.
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
No, sir! Sorry, but... What exactly is a top-hinged casement window?
And you... You
What
cannot
about me?
excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
Of course. Sorry.
I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's rooms.
Alright, I'll try. Woo, 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 woo. Oh.
That's a weird flashback sound. So the window opens in the order... Bleh. The windows open... Screw it! So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. It's so hard to read these days. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge. Oh, that's gonna make things a lot harder to...
Well...
I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay. A metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount.
It prevents it opening? This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the open window,
It would just drop down.
would have clattered against the panel and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember how this stuff happens past this point. Like, it's all kind of hazy.
Yeah, well... Oh, no.
You see the problem then? Good. Your education windows is complete.
Jeez, man.
There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road.
Yeah, but...
That is,
Oh.
unless the window pane had been shattered. Something we've discounted already.
That can't... I thought you said re for a minute.
Did you see that, Rolly? He almost went full vampire. The young Japanese man must just collapse in agony.
Oh, yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me.
Oh, Rolly, you're so strong.
How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed.
That's court in these games.
Oh, sucks to be you, Counsel.
For real?
Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again. The court awaits your cross-examination. My lord. Oh good, another desperate situation.
He loves these.
Yeah, love them to pieces.
Alright.
Dang.
So we're gonna press his first statement. That apparently
Okay.
nothing, it has nothing to do with the Gyarados at all.
Okay. How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the Force written on it and a reminder to all of us got grief. On it as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duty. Okay.
Reading is
sheesh.
hard. He showed
I
us that
hate reading.
before, didn't he? You hate reading. Bruh, do you know
Nah.
what game series you're playing?
Yeah, gee whiz. No, did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man is what the job's all about. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes immediately. Sir!
Oh, Rolly, you're so manly.
Of course I am, my darling Patricia. No, Pat.
Oh, Rolly.
No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett?
You know, the more important part of that testimony.
Yeah. Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir.
Shouldn't have to.
Yes, well, So, could you answer the question? That was a waste of time then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Gerda's domestic dispute can't be related to the case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all the countrymen to understand that the Great British Institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my wand card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try.
Alright. New piece of evidence.
Thanks.
Now let's take a look at that sucker. Alright.
Still though.
Item number 1.
Nice.
A policeman was trying to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Item number 2. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Item number 1. Any crimes following the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. Item number 2. When a crime is discovered on his beat, policemen must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Okay, so we pretty much already knew this, but we now, which means it might be important at some point to bring up.
Okay.
And we'll now press this statement.
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see? So they're restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore anything thrown out the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map.
I mean, that's helpful, I guess.
Here is the location where objects would have fallen.
Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side, rather wide road. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top hinge casement thing before?
Apparently, yes.
Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sorts of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with? Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. What?
Excuse me.
What are you laughing about? You have something to add, Mrs. Beat?
Sorry?
You look, well, delighted. Is some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see. It didn't happen on his beat.
What?
But then why did y'all...
Why'd you say
That's not under
something
your
that you-
jurisdiction!
So, what? Why then?
When a crime is
Why
started
do you have
on
an easy
his beat, a policeman assists in initial investigations, help detectives, like, it...
It's not on speed. You're not supposed to interfere, I thought. That's weird. Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Oh no! I think I just discovered what happened.
Oh, what is... Oh, well... I want to know, but I don't want to know, but I want to know.
Okay, I don't... Because I don't remember what happened, but I'm thinking what happened is... The body was moved to be out of his beat.
Oh... That makes more sense then, why he wasn't, like, found right there. Everyone probably...
Yeah, and why it's like, oh, it's 15 yards across. There's no way it could have landed. Like, I don't know.
Well, now it could have. Constable Beat! Wake the frick up! Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garrett household yesterday. The house is on my beat, you see. So... I really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you can clarify something. If the Garrett household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garrett's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's life of a Bobby after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have the information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Miss Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. Alright, case file's been updated.
Ah.
And now it's my turn, I think. Okay. So now, we'll press their last statement.
Okay.
Son of a... Don't mind me, just pressing the A button a little too much. Anyway, as I was saying, we'll press statement 5. Didn't take his eyes from seeing the crime for one moment, and there's nothing strange to report, according to him.
Hold it!
I don't believe that for a second. Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the odds honor, sir.
Real talk, I hate that when I'm looking at this guy, I'm also starting to yawn.
Yeah, he's making everyone sleepy.
Yeah.
Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the London's Pride was originally in the Garrett's household.
The Lion's Pride.
Oh, Lion's Pride. Why did I say Garrett's Pride?
You
That's
said
weird.
London's Pride.
Wait, London's Pride? Guys, my brain is smooth. And it's a big dumb hee-hoo. But anyway, this question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
No. Not likely.
Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping the book like that in her hand? As we could see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, the book of... Oh, good grief, sorry.
That actually falls in line to Rolly's just yawning through his stuff.
Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. It's too mysterious of how the knife ended up in her bag and how the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. Please, Naruhodo's not sexist.
No.
You might just see me as the wife of the policeman, but I am a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember you ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard! My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimonies if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. Ooh, because I don't want to get hit. That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that! That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he?
No,
Well, watch
I
out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but I really won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? What, indeed? I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though. Yeah, that... Okay.
What is that?
So we will now press this new statement.
Mrs. Beat, nobody's questioning what you told us.
I saw it, I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene.
Curved back? Ha!
Must have bad posture. And I know what I didn't see as well. Oh, what didn't you see? I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross.
What? What the? Oh.
Hey, Rolly, what about that?
Constable Beat! Beat. Is there a problem? No, sir, no problem, sir. Did your voice remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir, yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. Really? You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find the police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone as a good 15.
Oh, Rolly, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long is because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Really so romantic. He saved for it with he saved for it with farthings and halfpennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes. How romantic.
I forgot all about it until just now. Had you, my darling?
Obviously not. Oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise.
Really? Oh.
What's that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it in your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. Alright. What happened was, I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Wait a minute. You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. We ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me.
Oh. Okay.
So, if you drop the bouquet,
then where
shouldn't
is
we
it inside?
see it?
Yep.
Right around here?
Yeah, like even the updated picture, there's no bouquet of flowers. So it was on the wrong side of the street, probably.
It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on?
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. And that's when I spotted my bouquet again. The funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. So who moved it?
Yeah, somebody else must have been watching.
In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased. I was so flustered for a moment before I heard a voice coming from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably.
That's right. Silly me, I'd gone up to the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think of how it got there. I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of the Briar Road to the opposite. Curious indeed.
Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose really bought me, with that change from the gutter you spent so long collecting. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry, solitary rose? Hey, it meant a lot to her, okay?
God dang it, man. That's so cool.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly bought me for our anniversary, with old bits of change he found in the gutter.
Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Von Sykes, where did you come by the flower?
According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadeb household. Huh, ain't that something?
Fancy
But
that.
still, who the f moved the bodies?
In front of the Garadeb's house.
Not bodies.
Yeah, that's weird.
Although, it wasn't noticed until this morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case, since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you! Could I have it back now, please?
No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Oh.
Oh, you can have it back later.
Let's see. But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief! Rest assured I would do my very best not to forget, Miss Beat. Whew! Okay.
So, now this calls his statement into question. There's nothing strange to the report, and he never took his eye off the scene for one moment.
Okay.
Then how does that explain that the flower was, you know...
Yeah, you would have remembered the flower, right?
Or rather, the body being moved.
That is true. You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to the beat, the bouquet that you dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Yes, on the opposite side of the Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that mere bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Jeez.
Cold, man.
Meager.
It's not meager. But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact?
No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why I really didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet that we're talking about here.
More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around.
What are you talking about?
Think about it.
No.
Alright, fine. I mean, I don't think either. Besides, Mrs. B's okay. There's Mr. Garrett's book.
Head thoughts, no empty. Or head empty, no thoughts.
Basically that way around, too. Mr. Garrett's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street. And yet... It was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road, in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here, at the scene of the crime, on the east side of the street. But in fact...
Strange.
It was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house. There's no logical explanation for those things. Unless somebody deliberately moved them.
What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly has done something wrong. There's no word that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh, good. Mrs. Garrett's come around. Well, that means that she must know something then. See, you might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garrett. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called,
Tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh. But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it. For a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering. You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would have possibly had to cause... Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception?
Have you been drinking too much of that wine?
Apparently.
Don't worry, we'll get some coffee.
Been a little tipsy at the bar.
Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to the one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate
Yep.
the conjecture. Good grief. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime?
Alright, so considering the facts... Yeah, exactly. So considering the facts... Obviously, it's not Patricia. Because if she did move it, she has basically openly admitted to it moving. Now, if Rolly's like, yeah, there's nothing that... I kept my eye on the scene the entire time. Which, like, okay, if that's the case, then why can't you explain the body being missing? The Gyarados were in their house throwing stuff. And obviously, if we are to believe that our, our client is in fact innocent, he could not have moved the body.
Right, he would have ran away and...
Who done it? Who moved the body? Who tampered with the scene of the crime?
Well, I was going to say... I was thinking that it could have been Mrs. Garrett, but they were still fighting up there. So it wouldn't have been them. But if Rolly really didn't take his eyes off the scene of the crime the entire time, I don't know. It would be a stretch to say that he did it, though.
Would it be a stretch?
Well, I mean, he said he never took his eyes off the scene of the crime.
Right.
So...
But he's also the one who could have done it, because Patricia was gone.
Right, because he was the only one there, and they wouldn't
think about it. It was their anniversary. If it wasn't on his beat, he could have moved it to like, oh, hey, it's on our beat. Let's move on and enjoy our anniversary and frick like rabbits.
That's right. That is true. Oh, he probably tampered with it then.
Take that!
Yep.
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you! What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly with the people of London.
Mrs. Beat, You said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to the nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime, to hide something. That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why do we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats.
Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against the London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering.
Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the... Wait, but yeah, she wasn't there over there either. So, was it to hide where the victim fell?
Are you asking me, or are you telling me?
I'm asking. Cause like they
Yes,
said the body
it
wasn't
was.
there, right? Yeah. Because all those other things was kind of like confusing. Anyway, where the victim fell to the ground. This is what the Bobby had to cover up at all costs.
What? When the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? Where she was murdered? She wasn't murdered. Where she was murdered? Ugh. What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? It was right here. As if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everyone has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
I'm beginning to wonder whether this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel.
I'm beginning to wonder when it will end. If that's
I
your
want
assertion,
hamburger.
then what?
I'm hungry.
But we're in London. Why would we have hamburgers?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening? Alright, Patu, you know where it happened. Where did it happen?
Yeah, at their lodgings, because Natsu was on his way back home.
But that's...
On the opposite side of the road? I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Mr. Garretta's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself.
Oh, snap!
Objection!
What?
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
No, they didn't.
That's right. I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark.
there was the typical London fog on the ground? I believe that's what you said. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, it was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes that you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print. The victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement to the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume.
Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Von Zuyck said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in the original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense theory of what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Rolly Beat? By going to sleep, I guess. Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important?
No, you didn't miss anything. Oh, Rolly. Isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. Right next to Jesus Christ, of course.
I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything. I'm out. Everything exposed.
Oh, you don't say. What all did you do there, Mr. Beat?
Uh-oh. Only, it seems... it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly! Good golly, Miss Molly!
Great googly moogly.
Order! 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 What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? She's not murdered, for f***'s sake!
Jeez!
How many times we've established she was just stabbed?
I don't think she realizes. Oh, wishing the victim's dead. This should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. For why on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason.
What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman.
And yet, Lord Van Sykes, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of this matter thus far.
Nuh-uh!
What? Oh! I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. what gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions.
Alright, so think back. We already have an idea as to why he did it, right?
Right.
So what is that reason?
Well, it's his wife. Am I great?
Well, their anniversary, yes. Now, if he had moved the body, which, you know, we already know, it wouldn't be on his beat anymore.
So he wouldn't have to take care of it, thus he wouldn't have to waste his whole entire night.
Yep.
Take that!
Conversely, the bouquet would have also sufficed. Same reason.
I realize that I am a foreigner of this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There is no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh yes! It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal.
When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. It's you.
Okay. When he saw the shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them. What must have gone through this man's mind? But, oh, okay, yeah. Anyway. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules of patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said is alright.
So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh.
Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done?
I think you're starting to now.
It was the first time I became a copper.
Since you became a copper.
Oh, since I became a copper. That I ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized that where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you have to go to the police box that covers it. turn right along Mearsham Street, and then... Oh, poor fella. Oh, I know you're not tearing up. Jeez. Hmm. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Constable.
I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
Just that one night.
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care.
You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon.
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Ah, I see your meaning now. But God got me back from my sins, didn't he? And that's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat.
Oh no, Rolly. That was all my fault. I should never have dropped in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly.
Ooh, this is rough.
Yeah. Can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Oh. 4. It was... Yes, sir. Definitely 4.
3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Gerda household, of course.
But... what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's because... that's how I found it.
Huh? You found it that way? So she
The
was
only thing I
holding the book?
The only thing that I can think of is... she must have been walking, like, down the street when the whole accident happened, right? So, the book would have fell down. It's like, oh, wow, flaming book. Where did this come from?
Huh. How you found it? What do you mean?
We first ran over to the scene. The victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting.
Okay.
Oh. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There are only 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw what happened. However, which way you look at it, it had to be the fellow who'd run off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it at all over to the road would make a jot of a difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh.
My lord.
Yes, Lord Van Zykes.
I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir!
Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him?
For now, You are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning him for coming home late.
Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired.
Alright then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Sir!
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Never again, sir? You mean to say...
Leave now. This trial is not yet over.
Sir! Whew! Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that?
Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Sosuke Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime.
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Von Zykes, is this true?
Very well. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
We'll name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime.
Well, we asked about it earlier, but were denied it. But who is it?
Oh, was it Mrs. Garrett?
Sure was.
Take that!
Yeah. The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again. My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrett.
Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garrett, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
Jeez. At the time of the incident, Toad, you were enraged in a violent argument with your husband, Mrs. John Garrett. Mr. John Garrett, not Mrs. John. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire occurred. And to clear the smoke of the room, your husband opened the window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. When striking the pane of the open top hinge casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. Very rude.
Yeah?
Oh. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
I don't recall it.
Seriously?
Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there and all the regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
I'm objecting to my objection earlier. No,
Oh.
I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4.
Oh.
Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process.
Oh, snap.
If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out.
But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garrett.
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it.
Yeah,
but
aside
that's your
from,
husband.
your husband.
Yeah.
Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst.
Well,
Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already.
Then take the stand, juror.
Oh!
The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman.
Thank you, Lord Von Zykes.
Don't mention it.
I'm going to have to testify?
Hey, does this mean we're buddies now?
No! Goodness,
Oh.
no! God, no!
Dang.
Any
Fine.
other deity's names, no!
Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witnesses' testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware.
Oh, dearie me.
Dear yourself. So, I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrett. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels?
Certainly, my lord.
No, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This guy finally wants to see the truth, I see.
He always has.
That's such a good thing. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time ever since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer.
Witness, state your name and occupation.
Oh, yes. My name is...
You okay over there?
Oh, I'm good. I just trying to move around. I hit a court.
Oh,
My name is Joan Garadeb. And I'm... well... I'm a juror, and such like.
It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid, or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, my lord.
Don't drop the teapot.
you will tell the court everything that took place in your household in the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth.
No, oh dearie me.
Chin up, Joni! Nothing to worry about now!
Oh, I didn't know you were here, John.
Wasn't only in the room that day, old thing, was it? Well, I think I'll testify as well, don't you?
But what about your knee, dear?
Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. Ouch! I'm not so chaply recalled mad to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John.
I presume you are Mr. John Garrett.
Yes, sir! Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th number... Hold on, let me try this again. Yes, sir. former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir.
What?
2, 3,
weird.
4, huh?
Cool.
Seen my fair share of action, now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Well, yes. Quite.
I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question.
Sir, at once! Alright.
How did you know your wife was in the thick of it?
Well, probably because he was there.
Oh. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had out though and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think.
Trying to protect your wife, I see. It sounds as though it was quite a battlefield in your household that evening.
Although, an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, the veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about the marital squabble, quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife.
In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have already testified. This may be a dead end.
Von Sykes might well be right.
Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Oof. Very well, counsel. Bring your cross-examination.
Well, we'll need to question Joan, so...
Okay.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire?
As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When one wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
How did she know I was thinking of that? So, please, cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge, a napkin.
Excuse me.
Hold on. Do you have something to add, sir? Don't mind the train, by the way.
Train! Where?
Oh, take cover!
Get
Mr.
down! Yeah? Don't shoot! Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Did your wife's remarks just now bring back some memory?
Nothing of any significance, no. Those are the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall.
Ouch! Horrible.
And the woman's name is uncanny. She laid irritated with the body. Ow! 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 Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with a teapot here?
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. We'll take a look at this then. How do you suppose that happened?
Your pipe, sir.
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. Actually a sponge that sort of damage.
I see, your pipe was broken.
It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now. You are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important. Because I think she actually didn't mean to hurt him. The defense believes that believes Mrs. Garrett's remarks just now could be of great significance.
Objection!
And this war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of anything. Hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. I should really stop drinking wine.
Indeed. Common sense, one might say.
Wait, to what? Hold on now, that applied to way more than...
Yeah, wait, yes, it does. Might one.
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. That is not what happened in the first place.
No. Very well. Very well. The court will accept this gentleman's pipe as evidence. Ooh.
Right.
No one smoked that. He just put that in his mouth.
Let's see. Let's take a close look at this thing.
Oh man, it's chipped. Ooh, there's.
That's it!
That's the knife piece! Oh, something twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Surely. It couldn't be. Oh boy.
Well, let's take a look at our jackknife now.
Yes.
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
Wait, part of it's missing. I could be wrong, but I've got a feeling. You remember this?
Ah, that's a tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garrett's pipe.
Yes, and just maybe.
Oh my, it's a perfect fit.
Somehow, I just knew it. So she did throw the knife. Well, now we got the evidence that we need.
Alright. I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Sasato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garrett. Now, we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim?
Alright. Well, let's see.
Alright, and the victim was really hard to prove it, I think. Well, now we can.
We have it now.
Yeah.
Objection!
Here we go.
Mr. Garrett, can I ask you to take a good look at this, please?
You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing.
You can't?
Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course. That was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Jeremy, it's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must be very dizzy.
What is that? And I don't mean that tiny scrap of metal. Or rather, I guess I do.
Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. What may appear at first to be a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence.
Oh, really? Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe.
My pipe, you say? By Jove, when did that got there?
What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it's some way related to the matter of stabbing on Briar Road? I am?
What?
Well, I am. But when put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord.
I hate it. I have a train going in my background now.
Yep, I hear it. The record is either a plane or a train or what have you.
Yeah. Or our brain don't work, you know.
Yeah, but that's fine because it's always full of holes. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
I mean, we already know what it is.
Yeah, it's the freaking knife.
Yup.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a small piece of the tip of the blade that is missing.
A common issue with the inferior blade sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals use them regularly to leave the tips lodged in the victim's bones.
Ouch! And what is this particular knife?
No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection!
Are you stupid?
Dude, I just showed you the fragment. No, that's not the case.
Huh? Sorry, I must have dozed off because I wasn't paying any attention to what happened like 5 seconds ago.
Oh yeah, I have to pay attention to this, the tip of the particular knife's blade. It's the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe. Good grief, Lord Von Zykes!
I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match.
Good golly gosh! Order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery?
This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle.
A miracle? So Von Zykes has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once! Yes, my lord. The crucial point that we have asked ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe?
Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Uh-huh. Oh, dearie me.
During the argument between those two that occurred just as the victim on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett instead of striking the pipe in his hand at the time.
Which caused the tip to break off. Of course.
Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way into Mr. Garrett's pipe.
The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1!
Well, it happened. And yet there is no credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then,
After losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window.
Ah!
In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gyarados house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below.
Oh gosh, oh dear, oh. No!
Oh, she's standing on a box. Well, what now?
Obviously,
you have
I'm
your
not
evidence.
done.
Yeah, but what else?
A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument.
Sorry?
But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle I fear is corked. Because you see, my leg is awesome. It's spoilt by insurmountable inconsistency.
Insurmountable. What? I can't even pronounce that. Lord Von Sykes, explain yourself.
Insurmountable?
What's this inconsistency you claim to have identified?
An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back.
Yes, and her... Ah! Yeah, but still...
That's right, you silly little man.
Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let's consider the basic facts of the case once more, because we seem to have forgotten them. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have implanted itself into the victim's back. It would have hit her head or something, or shoulder.
Dude. Yeah! No. Von Sykes, you don't understand. That can happen. Order!
So, tell me how, Patu. How can it
Okay,
happen?
Look, well, when they found the body, the body being the victim,
The very much alive victim.
yeah, she's alive, she's just recovering. But look, see, she was holding the book that flung out the window. So, what's to say, like, while she was bending down to pick it up, while she was bent down, like, over the book, the knife could have just fell down, because she was throwing things, like, super fast at him. That's what I'm thinking, Abe.
Quite right. You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well,
He's lost for words, look. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place. I don't know, though.
I know.
What really did happen?
It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder.
If
I
a
don't
theory
think
is
so.
in one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history.
We were so close. I could see the truth. So sure that we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words...
We simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand.
Miss Susato!
You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all. And your mind went blank. But if the path you're on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It always is.
Pretty much.
It seems you've nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track.
It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. It's a test! Yes! If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is.
What are you implying?
That you're stupid. Oh, counsel.
No, you.
Oh, counsel. What? There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer.
Goodness.
Utter madness!
Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will lay bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the back is...
Well, you explained it earlier.
Yeah, the freaking book. This, the fourth book found in the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present.
The burnt book?
Is that not Mr. Garrett's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be in the scene in the first place. The photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand.
But as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that.
Quite so, as part of his wholesome transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. Oh, wholesale, not wholesome. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable B made extremely enlightened statement on that point.
Yeah, he obviously it was like that originally. We know.
Yeah. In other words, the victim had already picked up the book of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd be doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand?
By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
We know the book fell from the top floor of the Garrett household into the pavement below. At precisely the moment the victim was walking past.
Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw.
Yes, Mrs. Garrett. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and then suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Yes! That is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? And that's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, when the woman was still bent over picking up the book, ouch! The next object that fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Sosuke Natsume. But I never! It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
Ah!
You're a criminal.
And from the other direction, The constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker.
So there never was a real culprit to run from this scene in the first place?
Nope.
No. This was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. Mrs. Garrett was the real murderer. That is
No one was murdered!
I know, but it's more exciting that way. And that is the real truth behind this case. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett,
The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered perhaps it might have been something like that.
There, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Garrett.
poor Miss Green.
She'll never wake up from that death.
Never.
So
Not in a
sad
million
she
years.
died.
Rip Mrs. Green. Put that in the comments.
Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear.
John, dear!
Who are you?
It's alright. I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry!
Oh. Snap. Come on, buddy. Come on. Oh. Oh. Lord Von Sykes, what news of Mrs. Garrett?
She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events have left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she'll recover in due course. There is no cause for concern.
Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily be a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. Well, not Mr. Garrett.
There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. She died, but she's getting better. Her condition
wait.
Her condition's improving steadily, and the doctor believes she'll regain consciousness soon.
It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her.
How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems.
Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Sosuke Natsume.
Yes!
On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your very distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. And now have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies.
I'm not apologizing.
Okay, everyone except for Lord Von Sykes over there.
He
Spoil
still
sport.
did it! He's like frothing in the mouth. He did it!
Oh, I think he needs more wine.
I think he needs more water.
No, it is me who should be begging your pardon.
Oh no, Mr. Natsume.
That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion.
What conclusion, sir?
I was sure the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she'd been killed too.
I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. Like a potato.
It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. In fact, I could swear that there's some strange apparition in this very courtroom that's so pale and tall and horrible. Yes, it's me. I get it.
Dang, you don't have to be that mean, Sosuke. Poor Sosuke-san. His imagination really has got the better of him.
Yes, poor man. So what had happened? I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help! For a doctor! For the police! Instead, I managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
Wow. Even accused, he's still trying to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
Y'all could learn something from him.
One could indeed say the same sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Von Sykes and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yes, my lord.
In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability.
Yeah, you're right, culpability.
My tongue got tied for a second. But are you ready to present your findings to the court?
Well, as the foreman of this story, I can assure you we've reached our fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times.
Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure.
Sitting of the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be.
Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time.
I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I?
How? You don't even know what happened.
Huh? What?
Oh, God dang it. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decision. Mr. Foreman?
Yep, everyone's saying not guilty. Finally.
Guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yay!
We've done it.
Very well. Mr. Sosuke Natsume, I hereby pronounce you.
Now this one feels way better.
We did it! Without beyond a shadow of a doubt, we know he didn't do it.
Yes.
Everything's been cleared up.
This one feels way better than the other case.
Yes.
And finally, Mr. Natsume,
Oh, yes, Lord, sir!
you're now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again! I'm transported to tears!
Oh, thank you, Ginyu. Court is adjourned.
Huh?
Ah.
That
Oh,
feels better.
locum!
Wait, you mean me?
Of course! Is there another locum here?
Is there even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name?
Oh, at last I'm free, I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Heady, hearty happiness, hurrah! Oh, I am pleased. Miss Natsume is delighted.
Would it be so hard to just say that then?
Locum, you did it. You saved me from the brink.
Well, what happened to the poor woman who was in no way... Well, it was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now.
No, 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 not that! Lovely, loyal locum lawyer!
Yes?
I mean, as I said before, I have just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you locum lawyer gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench, before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!"
Very flattering. And we're very pleased for you. Also, please don't mind that airplane.
Airplane! Oh no!
Ah, here it
for me.
comes. Oh
Actually-
no.
This is giving me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan.
Anecdote?
Anecdote.
What is that? Oh, anecdote? Oh.
Yeah, anecdote.
Wait. Oh, anecdotes. That's what to become of all my hard work?
Ah, there you are, my dear fellows.
Oh, hey,
to keep you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm here not a moment too soon. A disaster's been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck.
It's just finished.
What? No! Then my haste was in vain? Ah! It's you! Hairlock Sholmes! Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you'd arrested, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light.
Charming.
That is me, charming. This is all your fault, Hairlock Sholmes! You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal! I'm going to give you a piece of my mind!
You probably shouldn't do that as you just started.
My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned the poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Ah. Had she been taken to hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh. But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience.
Well,
I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless! Oh, I'm so sorry, really, but... that was quite priceless.
poor Sosuke-san.
Still, on the bright side, you'd had an extremely entertaining experience without paying any pennies. And, it would seem, you're not even found guilty. There was no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now by the Reaper!
Ah, Lord Van Sykes.
Haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed! It'll be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I'll protect you. Hi-ya!
Why? Why would you do this?
Because why would she throw Mr. Natsume? That wouldn't make any sense. With a perfectly executed Susato takedown.
Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. I don't even know. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you tend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan.
Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. Wrong button. And I've come to realize it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws in my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own.
Oh, I see. A work of literature by Sosuke-san. Could be an interesting read.
And what about Mr. Sato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry? What about us?
We return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot.
Why would we?
A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not?
That's right. We need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us.
I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings.
Oh, the windowless room?
But what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with a floor, a ceiling, and walls.
Great.
And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit?
So you're just gonna palm that room on us then?
Yes! Oh yes! It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call.
Well, we'll think about it, if that's alright.
Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add.
Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft?
I spoke to the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful! What an honor to be invited taking lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words.
So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then.
And it's settled.
Alright.
I've prepared a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy.
Locum, I know that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I've come to realize I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, Mr. Sholmes.
I have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening.
And so, with Sosuke-san's innocence successfully established, we wrote Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 22 1B Baker Street. It's not so bad.
Yeah,
I could live in an attic.
The attic room.
It's got a nice window.
Yeah?
So this...
Is to be our new office. Yes.
our office? I rather like the sound of that.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now.
So, my dear fellows, do you like the place?
Oh, he cleans up pretty good. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good, I am pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. Please, as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives, we have a lot to celebrate.
Oh.
Iris, you must let me help you. Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Ugh, salad.
I like the Caesar salad better though, because you can put on some bread and make like a tiny little sandwich.
Yeah. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital?
It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us.
Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is.
Sorry?
London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows.
Shadows? What do you mean? Like the hedgehog?
What? No. Well,
Oh.
I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London.
Ooh. I wonder what that means. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came. To lift the facade and see the true depth of the work that lay behind it.
And that is it for this episode. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, check out links in the description, keep an eye for community posts, and as always, we'll see you in court.
See you then.